I am JB Bryan, President and Chief Investment Officer of JB Bryan Financial Group, the proud home of AfroEconomics, established in 1995. We are thankful. I'm excited about 2020 right around the corner, right? We are talking tonight about accumulation. Yes, I know it's 2019 next year, but 2020, my business will be 25 years old. Yes. So, yes, so thanking God for the opportunity to be here serving you. Please make sure if you have any specific questions or even not so specific about distribution of your assets and accumulation of your assets, call me at 1-833-ASK-AFRO. That is the on the air phone number, 1-833-ASK-AFRO. If you call that number, I will put you on blast. So no, that might be why you were afraid to call. But every now and then, we get that proud person, because you can't hang with me without being able to express yourself. Allow me to serve you. Please just let me know what you need. So definitely tell me what your questions are, and I will try to um, also thank you. Mr. Tice said, make sure you share your YouTube channel. Y'all are always looking out for me. The YouTube channel where all of those videos are it's at AfroEconomics with JB Bryan, or just search AfroEconomics or search JB Bryan. The page will pop up. Yes, indeed. I have a great video on an interview that I did with CBS 6 earlier this week on this very topic that we're talking about tonight, but about like handling your spending when you're on the distribution phase of your finances. But just say you're at home and something I say, you wish that I could expand on it or say more about. I need you. I need you to make a commitment to tell me. I need you to call 1-833-ASK-AFRO while we're on the air to tell me, because the funny thing, and it's not really funny at all, is that when you do this all day, I can skip like things when you're trying to explain. I am trying to explain to you tonight something that is hardly ever, if never, I've never seen any financial advisor even attempt to do something live talking about this. So, but it's so important. It's just very important. And I like lives because I want you to interact and I want to know what you feel. So I want to interact with you. I just don't want to have this prep like accumulation is, distribution is, and then we can do this in like 2 minutes and tell you the definition of accumulation and the definition of distribution. But instead, please ask me questions so that we can talk extensively about this. And even more, don't hesitate to join so that I can talk to you about your specific financial goals. But the good news is that we have a free membership. Thanksgiving week, I set up a free membership called No Excuses for you to have online access. So it's for that online person that I say has more time than money, and they're not ready for the comprehensive financial planning, but they want to do something. I want to make sure that I make it available to you. No Excuses 2019. You can start it in fellowship with me, and you will be able to participate in the weekly members only events. So go to the website, click membership right above my thumb, and go into No Excuses or get your membership. Yes, we're setting up family membership. We had a whole family that joined today. I have a commitment that I want a new member every day. Definitely. So you can make it happen for yourself and for me. Make sure you do that. Let's talk about it. Let's be about it. Accumulation versus distribution. What part would you say is most important? The accumulation of your money, or would you say it's about the distribution of your money? What's the most important? What's most important? Well, let's think. I really believe, because I've been doing this so long, that just like most things, distribution is the most important part. But you know how most things in life, we don't spend enough time on the things that really make a difference. That's the way it is with our assets. Like, because everybody wants to talk to me about accumulation. More and more and more, getting more and more, making it more and more and more, a million, a billion, a trillion, getting more and more and more and more money. But no matter how much you accumulate, if you don't distribute correctly, it's not going to work for you. So let's just look briefly at the AfroEconomics financial lifestyle stages, or just financial AfroEconomics life stages, or just life stages, indeed. So I think of the first stage of just working and trying to develop financial independence. So you're just working and you're accumulating and you're putting away that 20%, right? You're putting it away, hopefully tax deferred, pre-tax, and you're reducing your taxable income and you're putting it into a work plan. If you own your own business, you're talking to me about setting up your own work retirement plan of accumulating assets. You're doing something, even maybe purchasing real estate that you are accumulating so that you want it to generate income for you down the road, right? But these early years, you're focusing on how can I accumulate enough assets that will create income for me, that will take care of all of my needs at a specific period of your life. Hi, Dr. Hicks. So you have that early financial independence accumulation stage. And then what about as we move through, because accumulation is always on your mind, no matter what. People are always thinking about, should I save more, right? And then there's becoming accountable for what you have. You just get to a point in your life where it just becomes real. And you say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to work like this. I don't think I want to be on the putting out work so I can create income for the rest of my life. I kind of want to stop. At least I want to stop full time. Just say that you're saying that my mind is just changing about this. So you discover that it's time for you to determine how much is needed, how much money is needed to take care of you, or maybe even your spouse. But that's the accountability stage where it just becomes real that I'm not going to be working much longer. And then you start thinking about generating income from those assets. So the accumulation stage, your accountability and distribution stage. And then you lead into who's coming after me. But we know in AfroEconomics, we're thinking about that all the time, even as we were in our early years, right? Even in our early years, we know that the first principle of AfroEconomics is legacy. So that's what helped us accumulate. So it also helps us through distribution because we don't want to spend everything that we have. So we want to make sure that we secure our legacy, set up any legal documents that are necessary, make sure you have all of the insurances in place, and how you want everything to be distributed as well. So I want us to really think a lot about, because everything I've talked about all year has really been about accumulating, protecting, keeping, tax strategies on the accumulation of assets. But today I really want to talk I want you to begin to become comfortable about how to adjust my life. So when you hit your 60s, 70s, early in my career, I'm telling you, I have clients today that I met in their 40s who are now approaching their 70s. Yeah, they're like 68, 69. So I met them 48 and they were retiring for good. That was it. And I had to help them in their 40s, late 40s, start thinking about distribution and how we make sure that this lasts forever. And to me, when I look at them, that's when I say, you done good, girl. You done good. Because if you can help someone make sure at that early age that they still have money for the rest of their life, that's a challenge. Because remember, in that, they also had to deal with 2007, 2008, 2009, which is now called the Great Recession. In the middle of, thinking, what could they must have been thinking, but we stuck to the plan. We did the quarterly meetings. We did the quarterly call. We did whatever they needed. We had to stick to the plan. We had to realize what the tax penalties would be. We had to realize, they had to realize that interest rates are going down to these historical lows. And so their income had to be adjusted when interest rates were so high when they started their retirement. So it means that the income that you're trying to generate, that you have to take on more risk if you take out a greater percentage, because when interest rates are high, you can be conservative and still get 5 or 6%. That's when interest rates are high. But you're talking about interest rates dropping to less than 1%, 1.5%. So you've got to have some risk exposure in a market that's not performing in order to generate your income. That used to be based on 5 or 6 or 7% of $1 million. All of a sudden, you're looking at 3 or 4% in order to protect your principal. So I think it's really important. I think that story really explains how important it is to make sure that you do have a financial advisor in your life that you partner with, that is not just focusing on selling you something every time you call them and say, what's going on? And I see people that are victims of that. It's so sad. They go, it's a portfolio. How's it doing? And they go, oh, it's horrible. Let's switch it over to this. Switch over to this. And too many people do it. But when you're in there and you're starting your distributions and they're switching you around like that, when it doesn't feel right, generally it is. When it feels too good, generally it is. There's always a give and a take to everything. And most importantly, develop relationships with people that are honest with you. So when we're talking about distributions of our money that we've accumulated, then it's time for your financial planning has to adjust to the new situations of your life, your new circumstances, and these circumstances outside of you and how they can impact your income. So during the time of distribution, of not having a regular paycheck, you're going to become dependent on things like the pension. And if you're depending on Social Security, but you're not even 60 yet, then you're not going to have that. So your income, if you're retiring early, may only come from a possible pension, which there's so many fewer companies with active pensions, and your savings and investments that you accumulated. And that's why I support that maybe 10%, which was that little rule of thumb. I think that we need to be looking at 20%. We need to be aggressive savers. I really feel that we need to do something to to just get into our mindset that it's going to cost us a lot in order to take care of ourselves. Because once you get into that distribution phase of your life, you're no longer stashing away money that you're going to, in order to really feel financially free in the latter parts of your life, we've got to have a lot of money saved. Remind you, the earliest that you can get Social Security is 62. Full Social Security for most of you is going to be 66 or older. So you're going to have to rely on your savings and your investments a lot more than generations past may have had to. Plus, medical expenses are a lot higher. Like if we were sitting there looking at each other right now, I would say, like, what do you think are some of the major expenses of retirement now? And like medical out-of-pocket expenses is a huge burden on retirees. So we have the extra burden of making sure that we take care of our, not burden, I guess, but we have a responsibility to make sure that we take care of ourselves because it's going to cost more and more. Dr. Williams said, in such a volatile stock market, what are some of the considerations for distribution? And I'm glad that you brought that up because I kind of moved really past it. But on your considerations for distribution, you can still, even in a volatile stock market, your stocks can be used for distributions. You can still, like, if you believe in the stock market and you want to leave your stock positions in there and you're in the income producing phase, first of all, I should say that if your portfolio is well managed, and you have stocks in your portfolio, but you're in the distribution stage or even close to it, your allocation should be set up so that the stocks are only there for their long-term growth potential, that you're not really using them unless they're big company dividend paying. It's a income ETF or income fund or income stocks. You're using them for the income. If you're in the income distribution phase of your life, first of all, I'm going to have your portfolio set up appropriately to your risk tolerance and according to your particular income needs that you have. So for some people, they might say, well, that could, that portfolio that JB has for me is conservative when they see, the market like skyrocketing, but they're not realizing the distribution amount that they're taking, or they might not be realizing the risk tolerance that they have. If they have a very low risk tolerance, it becomes even more important for them to realize that if you're not careful and your risk tolerance is low, and you have a lot of bills, those two can't go together. A person with a low risk tolerance has to have a low income need as well. And their portfolio should be set up for that. So their low risk tolerance means they're not going to have a lot of equity exposure. They're not going to have a lot of volatility. But when the stock market is doing great, they're not going to get a whole bunch of the growth behind that as well, because they don't have that much of their portfolio exposed to growth potential investments. They want bonds, so they want bonds, or they want cash, or they want, CDs, or they might want fixed annuities, are a great option for guaranteeing the principal, and immediate fixed annuities are a great option for guaranteeing your income and creating an additional pension. Annuities get a very bad rap, but well managed by someone, a good financial advisor will know how to put them into the mix of your portfolio so that they can bring strength to your portfolio, not weaken it. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're doing. Dr. Edlow says Social Security is not much, and who knows how long it will be around. That's right. I'll tell you one thing. Social Security better be around as long as I'm alive, because as long as they took my money, they better make sure I get it back. Matter of fact, Dr. Arundel, you can tell them for me, all right? That they can just give me a lump sum of what I put in and I'll manage it myself. They ain't even got to worry about it no more. So Dr. Williams said, oh, look, you were talking about something else though, but he said, great perspective to match your risk tolerance to your needs. That's right. Match your risk tolerance. And then that's the thing about life in general, is that people who want, the most, unfortunately, out of something are the ones who will put the least into it. If you want a lot out of your retirement, you gotta put a lot into it. That means you gotta be working very hard, very hard. You wanna pull out of the basket? You better be putting a whole bunch into the basket. You best believe every day of my life, I think about my future. Every day of my life, I think about, what if the market does that again? I mean, I've been through some hellacious stock market times, and I have to not just manage my future, I have to manage everybody else's future. And as I was telling a senior today, he was talking about some speculative stocks that he's heard about, and I was against it, and this other guy who's not licensed, not regulated, was encouraging him to do it. And I said, I just don't feel comfortable with putting you in a position to lose any of your money. Now, he wasn't a client. I didn't know his exact, but I just knew that it's from as long as I've been in, and the other person giving him advice, telling him to waste his money, in my perspective, is not fully invested in that person. Whatever advice I give out, I have to be fully vested and legally connected. I'm connected to it. Everything I say right now, if I say something outlandish that do undue harm to any of you, then I'm connected to that. I have a responsibility to you, and you're not even on my client list. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. You're taking too much advice about real issues from the wrong people. So, distribution. And I'm glad that that Dr. Williams got us onto that thought process of distribution and risk tolerance and these types of times, because distribution requires a sizable shift. Distribution requires the thought of spending your life savings, requires a complete shift in your mindset from where you were accumulating and focusing on growth. Now you're in a decumulating, or you don't want your principal to go down, but you do want to get yourself into a position where you can live off your assets. And then, so we have to approach it for what do you do next? And a key part of distribution is knowing your goals, setting up a budget. On the invitation I sent you, I hope you watched the video that I sent you. It was about how to make sure you control your spending during the distribution phase, because it was about setting up a budget. But a budget really is about what your goals are. What type of daily living habits do you want to have? And a big mistake that a lot of people make during the distribution phase of when they start spending their money is they just go crazy, right? The new car, the new boat, the new house. Some people go into more debt than they ever have, ever. If you can approach the distribution phase of your life with the lowest expenses of your life, what a blessing it will be. It would allow you, I feel, to have so much more peace of mind. And that doesn't mean you can't have a lot of things. It just means that have things, the big things, paid for. Because your housing expense can be it is generally the biggest expense that retirees have. And I want to make sure that I explain to you that there's no particular age for this. Some people are going to go through distribution at 75. Some people are going to go through distribution, as I told you, before 50. Some people are going to go through distribution at 85. I'm sure Warren Buffett is headed to 90. He's not distributing, spending his money. He's still working. I'm excited about it. I pray it's God's will that I can work and work and work. I would love to see my wealth distributed upon my death than for me to have to use it during my lifetime. I would rather I enjoy my work. So, but you have to think, you have to think about upon those things. Like, what are your goals? What do you want to do? When is this going to happen? So wealth distribution is when you create and implement a retirement income strategy designed with the intent to help your money last longer and throughout your retirement years. That's my task for you. So we want to look at your current investments and the current financial vehicles that you have. It could be you having life insurance and all of the things that you have. So we want to look at everything that you have as you approach your distribution phase. You said, I don't want to work anymore. I want to generate income from everything I have. Then I want to reevaluate your risk tolerance. And this just be a fun way for us to just think about, can you handle it? Can you handle the stock market? Or do you need to be looking more at insurance products or fixed income products or, government bonds or, so your risk tolerance will let me know what direction, what things should be in the mix of your portfolio. So I encourage you to, no matter what phase you're at, accumulation, distribution, or somewhere in between or past or before, gain an understanding of what your specific goals are. Create a budget of what your current income needs are, regardless of what phase you are in. But most importantly, if you're in distribution phase, we have to have that budget made. And learn about the real issues that could face your retirement, like what your healthcare expenses are. Like I had, they did this, we have this family text, and one of the family members, she put in the text like, oh, it's the deadline for the healthcare, marketplace, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you do it. And she said, oh, I love it. And, I pointed out, but she ignored what I said. Hey, a prophet is not cherished in its own town. But I said, hey, be very careful about the out-of-pocket expenses. Make sure that just because it says zero for the premium, that you realize what your worst case scenario. So it might be better to spend $30 a month in exchange for not having to come up with 10 grand when you go to the hospital. No response, but it's very important. Dr. Edler said, amen. We have to be careful and understand everything about healthcare, out-of-pocket expenses. They've gone up a lot, even for Medicare. Taxation of your income. You think you're talking about distribution, but what are you going to be distributing out of? Is it a life insurance policy or is it a IRA? The taxation on the two will be different. And understanding Social Security and estimating what your Social Security income will be at different ages, because knowing how much fixed income you have, how much pension, how much Social Security you would have, what if you had any guaranteed annuities or any guaranteed things that you have, and then how you're going to supplement those guaranteed things with the investments and savings that you have. But be careful on that distribution phase and make sure you talk with someone. I'm here for you. I would love to be on your team. Join AfroEconomics and get on board. Get on board. Get on board. I'll stay here for a minute if you have any additional questions. I'll tell you, Dr. Arundel, I did pretty darn good. It is 33, 8:33. I have all types of doctors on here. Got psychiatrists, we have pharmacists, we have PhDs, we have just, we're just truly blessed. We have a mix of everybody. And then you have me, the technician right here. I thank you all so much. And then we have Miss Sherman, who brings it home, the entrepreneur extraordinaire. And don't leave out Miss Dickens, my favorite nurse of all the world. Look at you. I think, let's see, Allison, we have another nurse that logs in too. We are all about it. So I know y'all know about the healthcare. I have a phone, but it's not like a local number, and it's not coming through the 833 ask Afro. But remember, after I'm off the air, call 1-844-JB Bryan. That's the toll-free number. You get to my executive assistant, and we can get an appointment scheduled, and we can go over what's important to you. I offer everybody a complimentary consultation, not just at the holidays. God bless each of you. Remember the reason for the season, and give some love to everyone you know. Thank you. She said, thank you for the blessing of wisdom. Thank you. Blessed is he who seeks wise counsel. That's indeed. Don't forget our sunrise on Sundays at 7 a.m. I like to focus on scripture and bringing it into our financial life. It has empowered me so much. Andrew, you have no idea. Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you. Blessings.